Alrighty, welcome back. So today I have a little bit of an interesting video for you here because I am going to be comparing three different Powertool battery power sources. So basically it's pretty simple. You have bought into one of these platforms or multiple of them, and you have quite a few batteries kicking around and you want to be able to use them, say as a power bank to charge your phone, or maybe you want to be able to charge your laptop, or maybe you want to actually be able to charge the drill batteries or the power tool batteries off of like your car or off of a solar panel or something like that. So that's kind of the purpose of these products, is to just allow you to do more with your drill batteries besides run your power tools. So it's a pretty cool market that's just started to kind of take off a little bit. So there's not too much out there, but at the same time, I mean, we've got stuff from three different brands, and I'm sure there's more out there too, but these are just kind of some of the bigger brands. So obviously DeWalt and Milwaukee, everybody's heard of those. And then Ryobi is kind of the up and coming brand from Home Depot. You can find some really good deals on factory blemished stuff online, some really good sales. So that's pretty cool. So I guess I'll just go ahead and start talking about each one of these products, and then hopefully the information in this video will help you make a better buying decision. So obviously the number one buying decision for people is going to be what platform they already have. So if you have a Milwaukee M18, a bunch of batteries and stuff, you're not going to go out and buy, a bunch of DeWalt batteries just because you like this. You're going to buy the Milwaukee one because you already bought into that platform so much. So that's one big thing that I want to throw out real quick. It's not like everybody has the option to just buy whatever one of the three of these they want. It's usually whatever battery platform you've already bought into. So firstly, here we have the DeWalt. This is a pretty cool little one because it just fits on any battery. So this is a FlexVolt 6 amp hour, but it'll also work on this power stack, which is a 1.7 amp hour battery. It's really nice and compact if you do that. So it's a lot smaller. It's very nice. You can take it with you. But the cool part about this one is it can both charge the battery and take power from the battery. So in this case, it's a very small device. It's a lot smaller than the other two, as you can see, and it only offers two outputs. You've got a normal USB, and then you've got a USB-C. But this makes up for not having the features of the other two, because this is a 100-watt USB-C port, and it can charge the battery at 100 watts, and it can output from the battery at 100 watts. So it's really cool because it's a 20 volt 5 amp charger for the FlexVolt batteries or any other batteries you want to use. So that's really cool because it'll charge this 6 amp hour FlexVolt battery pretty dang quick, honestly, if you use a 100 watt charger, of course. Now the one that they include in the box is a 65 watt charger, so it's it's not a 100 watt charger, but it will still charge most batteries pretty quick unless you're using a higher capacity one like that. And then you also get a 100 watt cable in the box too. It's a really nice cable. It feels like it's built with decent quality, so that's good. It's nice that they include that stuff so that you don't have to go buy USB-C accessories if you don't already own them. So it's a really good way to charge the batteries, and it's a really good way. Most laptops, they'll take 65 watts from USB-C, so it's a really good way to charge up phones and laptops and stuff. Feels like a very well designed, pretty modern product, and it's great that it can charge batteries at 5 amps. That's really good. So that's the first option from DeWalt. And then the second option here in the middle is from Ryobi. So in this case, I have a 4 amp hour lithium battery from Ryobi, and it just goes right in the bottom. So, pretty normal, just snaps in, removes. So obviously this one's quite a bit bigger than the DeWalt. It's, pretty big in size compared. So, I don't know, size is kind of a big deal. Like, this is easier to throw in your backpack with a little, power stack battery or whatever, and it's not in the way as much. It's even got a belt clip on there because it's so small. They think that you can clip it on your belt, which is a little bit of an exaggeration, especially with a FlexVolt battery, but it is a good feature to have nonetheless. So this obviously is a little bit bigger, not quite as convenient to carry around with you, but it does offer some features that the DeWalt doesn't have. So in this case, you've got a normal American prong outlet right there. So you can do 150 watts on the inverter, and then you've got a couple of USBs. These are fast charging ports, 18 watts. So they support like QC 2.0, QC 3.0, up to 12 volts and stuff like that. So that's good to have. And then on the other side, you've got a USB-C power delivery port, which that's great because once again, like the DeWalt, you can charge the battery with it and you can output from it at the same time, or not at the same time, but it's both in and out. So that's really cool because it means that you could charge, you know, a laptop or a phone off of it, but at the same time, you could also charge the battery with an incoming power delivery charger. So that's pretty cool because it's really versatile. Once again, you know, if you're in the car, you want to charge a battery, you happen to have this with you and a PD car charger, which is pretty common nowadays. You can easily just plug this in and it'll charge up your batteries, no problem. So, you know, it's a little more bulky, but it has to be because of the way the Ryobi batteries are. They have this, the big part that comes off that goes up in. So it has to be a little bit bigger to fit. But it does offer, you know, an inverter, whereas the DeWalt one doesn't have the inverter, so it can be a little bit smaller than the Ryobi. But it's a pretty well thought out device in my mind. It's got a charging indicator, so when the battery's charging, it'll flash green, and when it's fully charged, it'll stay solid green. So that's nice. And then, you know, it'll give you some airs and stuff, or some lights, which is cool. And then, you know, you can turn it on, you hold down the button, green is good, yellow means I think it's low battery, and then orange means, oh, I didn't even realize it's too bright for the camera. And then I think red means that it's overloaded. So you just hold it down for 3 seconds to turn it on, 3 seconds to turn it off. Pretty simple. And then it also does offer a light. Now this light, it looks brighter on the camera than it really is. I don't know. It seems kind of like not a big deal to me, but yeah, I mean, if I was using this, I'd probably just do something a little bit brighter, like take a light bulb and just go ahead and plug it in right there. I mean, it seems kind of crazy, but it totally works. And you know, you could probably run that for a while. That's a 40-watt light bulb, so that's only using a you know, a third, not even a third of what the inverter can do, if it can really do 150 watts. So, so yeah, that's the thing. You can do 150 watts total output from this thing. So, you know, if you're charging a couple of phones and stuff, you're not going to get 150 watts out of the inverter before you're overloaded. But that's no problem. You know, you could run, you know, a TV off of that, or a fan, or whatever you need, you know, and then when it runs low, just swap the battery out for another one. So it's pretty versatile. One thing though that I don't like in my testing of this is that the inverter's on all the time. When the whole thing's on, just by holding down that button, the inverter's on all the time, even if you're just using USB-C or USB-A. So I don't like that because I think it's unnecessarily draining the battery to just have the inverter sitting there idle, not doing anything. It just probably is wasting a little bit of energy out of your battery that, you know, you don't need to waste. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but they still say you can charge a phone like 6 times off of a 2 amp hour battery, which is what's included in a kit. They sell this as just a standalone tool with no battery, or you can get a kit that includes this 2 amp hour battery. That's what I opted for because I got a really good deal on it. So yeah, a 2 amp hour battery. It's an interesting bundle with this because using the inverter all with a 2 amp hour battery isn't going to be much fun. But I think the reason they did it is because the USB-C is only 30 watts in and out. So they include a 30 watt charger and cable in the box. So you can charge batteries at 30 watts and you can discharge it at 30 watts, which obviously is a lot less than this, which can do 100 watts, both in and out. So 30 watts, you know, is pretty slow to charge up a battery. So that's probably why they included a 2 amp hour in the kit, is because they know it's not like a super practical battery charger. But, you know, it's pretty cool still to have USB-C power delivery. You know, 30 watts is plenty to charge up a tablet or a phone pretty fast. So I'm not disappointed at all. You know, it'll charge the 2 amp hour battery pretty quick as well. So it's not 100 watts, but it's pretty good, especially considering you do get a 150 watt inverter. So now let's go ahead and we'll talk about the last option here that I've shown. So this is the Milwaukee version. It's called the Top Off, M18 Top Off, because it fits on M18 batteries. And it's really it's probably smaller, honestly, than the Ryobi by a little bit. It just, you know, slides right onto the red lithium batteries and does its job. So this one, you get an inverter as well. Now this can do 175 watts, but it's a modified sine wave. Both of these are modified sine wave inverters, which is a little bit unfortunate because it means that some sensitive electronics can be either damaged or just won't work correctly using these inverters. But in a package this small, they really had no option but to use a modified sine wave inverter. So then, you know, you've got some warning lights about heat or overloading. Then you've got a power delivery USB-C port right there. Now this can only do output. You can't charge the battery with this. You have to have an external battery charger for the M18 batteries, you know, just a normal wall charger, which is very big and bulky to pack around. So yeah, that's only an output. It does 45 watts, which is better than the 30 of the Ryobi, but it's nowhere near the 100 of the DeWalt. So that's something to keep in mind. And then you get just a normal USB-A port to charge your stuff with. So the cool part about this though is there's individual buttons there that light up for the different things. So if you want to use USB, you just push it, it'll light up, turn on the power. And then if you want to run the inverter, you push that, it'll turn the inverter on. And you can run both at the same time, but it fixes what I don't like about the Ryobi, where the inverter is just on all the time drawing power when it doesn't need to be. So this is cool because if you're not using the inverter, don't turn it on, you know. So it kind of simplifies things a lot. So, you know, you can just hit the button, lights up white, and the inverter will work just fine. We can take our light bulb and plug it in. Boom. Works just fine. So that's a good feature. 175 watts is quite a bit. And then of course USB, you can use all three at once. There's no problems with that. So that's pretty good. One thing though about all three of these is you can't really run like too much off of them because, you know, there's a certain amount of power that's required to get certain things started. So like I tried to run a mini fridge off of the Milwaukee and it wouldn't get it started because there was too much inrush current to get the compressor started. So it just wouldn't run the mini fridge. Haven't tried the Ryobi, but I'm guessing it's a similar story. Not enough power to get the compressor running. If you could somehow get the compressor running before plugging it into there, it probably would run because it only requires 60 or 80 watts. So obviously that's within the rating of both those inverters. But yeah, overall, I'd say these are pretty good. Depending on which battery system you have, obviously that kind of makes your decision a little bit. If you only are, you know, bought in a little bit to each platform, then it's not too late to switch platforms, I guess. But I definitely like these two because they offer power delivery in and out of the batteries, so you can charge batteries and discharge them into other devices, whereas that you're only discharging, you're not going to charge the battery with that. It'd be so cool if that had a 100-watt input, because then you could charge up this, you know, high output 12 amp hour battery, you know, pretty quick at 100 watts. So overall though, I think that it's worth getting one of these for whatever battery system you have, because in an emergency you could easily, you know, people probably have 30 batteries kicking around, you know, if you're like a contractor, or even if you're a homeowner, you probably have 4 or 5 batteries kicking around, and chances are they're at least half or 3/4 charged. So in an emergency, it would be a great system to have, to be able to use that power instead of just, you know, not being able to access it. So it's a really good means to be able to use what you have on hand. So I definitely think it's worth picking these up. I mean, they're all under $200. I think that's the most expensive. This is least expensive, and this is kind of in the middle. I think this is $100. This, depending on if you get the kit or not, I think is around 110 or 100. So yeah, these are probably similar price, and I think that's like 130 or 140. So it's either way, you know, it's not a bad thing to have, even if you aren't using it on a daily basis, just for emergencies, to be able to harness the power that's already in your drill batteries. So hope this video has been helpful making a decision on what to buy, and we'll catch you in the next one.